Hi, and welcome back to Rx30 Unlocked. I'm your host, Dahlia. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new release. In our last episode, we received some great feedbacks on topics you'd like to cover. And today we're diving into one of the requested topics, one of the most requested topics, I should say, which is compounds. And as a reminder, if you have any questions during this episode, email us at rx30unlocked@outcomes.com. So let's get started. There are two system parameters that relate to compounds. So I'm going to navigate to system, number 5 parameters, F7 option, number 1 system option. And on page 6, enable special reports, yes, no, or compounds only. When I type a C for compounds, it's going to prompt me to convert the milligrams to grams in compound reports. So I will go ahead and say yes to that. But it's your choice if you want to leave them as milligrams. And so these reports, there are actually 3 auxiliary reports that will be prompted. One is a medication summary, the other one is an Rx invoice, and the other one is a compound order. And we will take a look at that in just a bit. The next system option is on page 11. So automatically assign NDC numbers for compound drugs. And the system will automatically assign a number, so you're not having to keep track of where you left off as far as the numbering sequence. So we have those turned on. I'm going to save it and go to the prescription fill screen. So a compound can be saved or created on the fill screen or from the drug record maintenance. So I'm going to demonstrate both. Let's first start in data drug maintenance, record maintenance screen, okay? And so I'm going to give my drug a name, so let's say Magic Mouthwash. Okay, I'm not gonna search Lifeline because we don't have compounds on Lifeline. And the code type for compounds is always a 6, so 6. And when I press enter in the compound NDC, you're gonna notice that it gives me the next fictitious number. But I can use a series or a number series, and I can type in 99999 for the first 5, and going forward, any compound that I create, it will give that starting number. However, it's only for this session. And once I log out and log back in, that zeroes out, it goes back to zeros or the next fictitious number. But again, once you log in the morning, you can change that to 9999, and as for the duration of that session, it will always start with the 999. Okay, so you can add form and strength. This is actually going to print out on your label. I'm just going to go straight to dispensing form. And dispensing form, you would use EA for like capsules or suppositories. Liquids, it would be mLs, and for powders, it would be grams. Now, if you're not sure what to enter here, just type in anything, and it'll give you a notice that valid codes are EA, mL, and GM. So we're going to type in mL. And from here, I can go straight to F7 details and then number 6 ingredients. So now I'm going to start entering the ingredients. But before you start creating a compound, you want to make sure that all of your ingredients is in the drug record maintenance screen before you start entering them in the ingredients. Okay? So I'm going to type in my first ingredient. Okay. The form is going to automatically populate from the drug record for that ingredient. And all I really need to do is put in my quantity. So I'm going to put a 5 here. And you would leave the unit of measure, UM is the unit of measure as is, and the period is container. So if I press F3, it's always going to default to container, so that's fine. My next ingredient is lidocaine. Okay. Again, my form, we leave it as solution. The quantity is what I want to change, 100 mils. The unit of measure, you leave the unit of measure as it appears on the original ingredient drug record maintenance screen. And my next ingredient is Malox. So I will type that in. The form is suspension. My quantity, I'm going to put 20. Okay, and F1 return. Now, the package size is going to be your total quantity in your ingredient. So let me go back to the ingredient. And my total quantity, as you can see, is 125. So that's what I want to enter in the package size. And you dispense whatever you are going to dispense for your patients, okay? Now, the case size is 1. You never want to price compounds by package. That's going to create a hot mess in the quantity. So it's always unit, and then you dispense what you need, okay? Now, the AWP, the WAC, the MAC, and the cost comes from the quantities entered in the ingredients. So there's no way that you can enter anything in there. So it's just going to calculate. You want to make sure that you've got ingredient cost in the ingredient individual. You want to make sure that the cost is in there. Okay. So let's take a look here. Now, compounds. Here's the cash price schedule. I created a price schedule called compounds. Now, you can use defaults, but I would definitely recommend that you create a separate price schedule for compounds. And let's take a quick look at that. So price schedule 1, compounds. Basis time factor. You want to make sure that your basis times and factors is populated. Any markup and professional fee amount and professional fee percentage actually goes into the dispensing fee field. So basis and factor is your ingredient, and the other 3 are your dispensing fee. Okay, so I'm going to F1 return. And I am ready to save this. So I'm going to press F4 save, and it's going to come up with a little box that says assign codes, okay? So now in the assign codes, my type is BGOPM, B for brand, G for generic, O for over-the-counter brand, P for over-the-counter generic, and M is medical supply. So I'm just going to put G for generic, and I'm going to go straight down where it says compound type. Compound type, F3, I'm going to select other, but there are some options there that you can select depending on your compound, of course. Okay. The dose form, I'm going to press F3 and I'm going to say it's a solution. Okay. Cost basis, you probably want to use 07, usual and customary. It's really not based on AWP, is your usual and customary. Now, the level of effort, there are several level of efforts, right? So it's determined by the complexity of the compound. So there used to be 5 levels, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 11 is basic compound, like low complexity. 12 would be like more involved, like moderate complexity. 13 or 14 would be like a high complexity, and then 15 would be like a sterile compound. But you must be contracted with the insurance company to be able to dispense sterile compounds. Now, as of the beginning of this year in Build 25010, we've added the ability so that you can enter a higher level of effort. So I can now enter an 18 or 19. That is something new. There are some insurance companies that are requiring a higher level of effort. And so if you do not have the ability to enter higher than 15, make sure that your build number of 25010 or greater, that you are on that build or greater, okay? So I will just go ahead and put this as a level 12. The route of administration, I'm going to press F3 and there's a list of it. So if I want to go straight to oral, I'll just type in the O and it will take me to the O's, and I can just select oral. Okay. Now this admin site is for a vaccination, so I don't need to enter anything there. Now the submission clarification code, and we're going to go into that when we cover the rejections. There is an 08 process approved ingredient. I don't recommend that you put that in the drug record, in the compound record, because it's essentially telling the insurance company just bypass what you don't cover and cover, you know, and pay me just what you cover. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. Okay. So now I'm going to save it, and I'm going to do F7 and compounding instruction. Here is where you would enter the compounding instruction, basically the step-by-step instructions that you want your tech to follow on how to create this compound. So I already have a mouthwash, and I am going to use a really neat hotkey called the copy and paste. And compounding instruction, I'm going to do the Control-C to copy, and then I'm going to go back to that magic mouthwash. So if you're entering a compound for the first time, then you would have to enter all of these instructions the first time. All right, so let's take a look. Let's go back to compounding instructions, and let's format it. Make it look pretty, so that way when it prints out on the report, it'll look nice. Okay. Okay, great. So now I'm going to do F1 exit and then F4 save. Okay, so now we've created our magic mouthwash. But let's say you want to create another magic mouthwash, but you only want to change one ingredient. Instead of reinventing the wheel and starting from fresh, I'm going to show you how to use the templates. But this time we're going to do it from the fill screen. So let me pull up my famous patient, Mary Poppins. Okay, and my Dr. Jekyll. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in magic mouthwash number 2, okay? And I'm going to say yes, add to file. I don't want to search Lifeline. Compound type 6, enter. Notice how it gives me the 99999 because I did, change it from 000 to 9s. And now I'm going to just go straight to F7. Compound template. Here is where I would put in the drug or the one that I want to copy, right? The compound I want to copy. So I'm going to copy this, enter. See how simple that is? And now I'm going to do F7 and go to ingredients and just change one ingredient. That's all we want to do. Okay, so from Malox, we're going to do Mylanta. Okay, and we'll leave the quantity as 20. And then F4 save. It's super, super easy. So it also copies the assigned code. So let me show you that. It has all of the same assigned codes as my template. And it has the compounding instruction as well. So here is where I want to change Malox to Mylanta. Oops, a little typo there. There we go. Okay, F1 return, F4 save, and let's go back to the prescription fill screen. So I'm going to go ahead and continue filling this prescription. I'm going to do it for 180 quantity, and let's say 3 refills. Okay, I have a SIG code called compounds. Now that's already populated. So now you can also create SIG codes and add it to the drug record so you're not having to enter the SIG code or populate that information. It automatically sets my day supply. Okay, and I am ready to bill this compound. So F4 done. And this is where it says include this RX for auxiliary reports. And that's because we put a C in that system parameter for compounds reports. So I'm going to say yes to that. Print auxiliary reports now. Sure. So we're going to say yes to all 3. And I'm going to display it on the screen. So this is what it would look like. The first one is the medication summary. The next one is the patient invoice. And then the compounding order has all of the ingredients, all of your step-by-step instructions. And on the far right, if you had added your lot and expiration date, it would also print on that. And we're actually going to take a look at that as well. Okay. So now yes to bill the insurance company. I'm going to say no, and my lifeline is not running. So let me go ahead and do a little magic behind the scenes and start my lifeline. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is just convert it to cash, and we will just bill it for cash. Okay, so now that compound is going into packaging. So let's explore that packaging workflow. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this patient or this prescription as a waiter so that it'll go to the very top. Workflow number 5, packaging, and here's our magic mouthwash. So I'm going to go into my packaging, and I'm going to escape here because I don't have a stock bottle to scan, right? So you can do F7 certify, but I do want to show you how. Let me go back, I'm sorry, go back to the drug record. I do want to show you how there's multiple lots. That is, I don't know if many folks know that you can actually create multiple lots or add multiple lots. I'm going to say yes to this. And let's say I created this on 5/24/2025. You just create a lot number. Usually it's the date and the time. At, let's say 11/25 and expires July 31st. And let's say I created 100 here. Okay. And I am going to save that. Okay, let's go into workflow, packaging, escape from here. And now this is where you would select your lot. So notice that I need 180, but I only have a lot of 100. So I can F6, add lot, add a new lot. I'm creating a new lot today. 2025 at 117. Let's do 1,300 hours. Okay, and this one I created, let's say I did 150. Okay, so from here, I pick 100 from one lot and 80 from another lot. F1 return, and now I am done. So that is the multi-lot feature. I don't know if many folks know that we do have that feature in Rx30 in the drug record. Okay, so now that we've covered how to create a compound, how to create templates, and the auxiliary reports, I do want to let you know that the individual ingredients on hand will be decremented as you fill the script. Okay, and let's talk about some rejections. So let's say a translation error. You might see a rejection that comes back as a translation error. Now, in the blue part of the rejection, it'll say translation error, and then in the red part, it'll give you a little bit more information, like what's missing. But if you can't decipher what's missing, take a look at make sure that all of the third-party data is filled in, like the submission clarification code, the route of administration, the cost basis. Make sure that all of that is filled in. Sometimes the plan doesn't allow batching, so that could be an issue as well. Another rejection could be that the missing DUR codes. So you're missing the DUR codes. Make sure that I'm going to pull up an existing, let's see, mouthwash. Let's take a look at this one here. All right, this is the. You're missing the DUR codes. Let's look at the raw data. So here's the raw data. I did an Alt-O and pulled up the raw data, and you're going to go down to compound segment. So if any of this information, like the dose form is missing, the dispensing form, any of that's missing, then that can cause a translation error. Okay. Now, if you're entering some DUR codes and the plan doesn't want to see DUR codes, then there's a flag that you can put in the plan memo called no DUR codes, and that will just basically Rx30 will not send the DUR codes to the insurance company. So if you're getting a rejection and you have you don't have the DUR codes in there, maybe the plan is requiring it. If you do have it and they do want to see it and it's not going over, make sure you remove that flag out of the plan memo. Okay, so another rejection could be like NDC not covered, and that is a big one, okay? So because the NDC is not covered, that doesn't mean that the drug is not covered. You need to make sure that you change the NDC to a different manufacturer. And of course, the insurance is not going to tell you which one they cover, so you'll need to kind of try to make sure that you have that in stock as well. And then the override, like I mentioned, the override 08 is not a submission clarification code of 08. Is not something you should use constantly or all the time or even hard-coded in the assigned codes because you're essentially telling the insurance company, don't pay me for what you don't cover. So if they do covered a drug and that drug is maybe a different manufacturer, then maybe that's a different manufacturer. So basically you're telling them just pay me for what you cover. And so essentially they could just be paying you for the inactive ingredient. Okay. Let me think about other rejection codes that might come about. Invalid, maybe dose indicator, that's the dispensing form. Make sure that in the drug record, this field, DF, that's the dispensing form. That's very important. The insurance company wants to see that, okay? The unit of measure as well is important. And then missing invalid level of service. And so if you get that rejection, that means that the plan, you've entered a level of service when you should be entering a level of effort. So I'm going to go to the third-party data. Okay. So this level of service should not be populated. It's the level of effort all the way over to the right. This is where you would enter your 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and now we have the ability to enter anything higher than a 15. And so I'm sure there are tons of rejections, and I can't think of them all. Definitely, if you have any rejections that you might get for a compound, please feel free to contact support, chat with them. They're very well versed in compounding and third-party insurance rejections. And that concludes our demo on compounds. So let's take some questions. Okay, so there's a question coming in now. It said, how does the system's handling of fictitious NDC during automatic assignment affect claim submission and third-party plan acceptance? Well, that's a great question. I'm going to go into the raw data, and go down to claim segment, and when the drug is entered as a compound, Rx30 does not send the NDC, instead it sends the compounding segment. So the insurance company is looking at the compounding segment, not field 407-D7 where the NDC is. Okay, so this compound code here, 406-D6, that means, a 2 means it's a compound. So insurance is actually looking at the compound segment, and this is where the NDC will be. And so now if that's missing or if it's erroneous, then you probably want to check your the drug, your ingredient drug, and the NDC of your ingredient drug. Okay, let's take a look at another question. What is the significance of the level of effort in compound claim processing? And how does incorrect entry impact reimbursement or rejection risk? Okay, so yes, incorrect or invalid codes. So I'm going to go back to the level of effort. So if you've put in a lot of effort into this compound and it needs to be a 15 or a 14, but you put an 11, then the plan is not going to pay you what you should be paid for your for the complexity of mixing that compound. So that's important. You definitely don't want to shortchange yourself. Okay. Any other questions? So I don't see any other questions, but we've been getting a number of requests about our participation in the upcoming Wholesaler trade show. And so let's take a moment to address that, okay? And if you're heading to RBC, Idea Share, or ThoughtSpot, you won't want to miss what we're bringing to the show. So from cutting edge AI to delivery, integration, and powerful analytics, there's something for everyone. And so I'll be attending both the RBC and ThoughtSpot, and I'd love to connect with you in person. I'll be there answering your questions, giving live demos, and walking you through hands-on workflows. So we've made major strides in AI integration, and we're excited to show you how our new solution can streamline pharmacy operations and boost your team's efficiency. It's smart, powerful, and designed with real-world workflow in mind. Also joining us in the booth is one of our key integration partners, Pharmacy Marketplace. They'll be showcasing smart purchasing and procurement tools that help you cut costs and improve your bottom line. If you've been using Report Rx in the past, you absolutely need to check out Outcomes Insight. This platform takes analytics to the next level. It gives you clarity and visibility like never before, so you can make smarter business decisions. And last, but definitely not least, Outcomes Premium. We introduced the integrated pharmacy experience and single sign-on at last year's shows. And this year, they're fully integrated into Rx30 workflow. With the integrated pharmacy experience, you can engage patients directly in programs like MTM, immunizations, and adherence, and all without jumping between systems. And with a single sign-on, you'll enjoy seamless access, enhanced security, and fewer login frustrations. And these upgrades aren't just about convenience, they're about increasing revenue, reducing friction, and making sure every clinical opportunity is captured. Be sure to stop by and see a live demo of Outcomes Premium. It could change how your pharmacy operates. There's a lot to see, a lot to learn, and a lot to gain, and we can't wait to connect with you. And that's it for today's show. Thank you for watching.